Hello, and welcome to Mindset Musings podcast, recorded from officially the most entrepreneurial city in the country, Portsmouth. Ben Miles, co-founder of one of the UK's largest music festivals, and Cy Gardner, co-founder of one of the Hot 100 and fastest growing recruitment companies in Britain, search far and wide for what drives the most successful people from their chosen sectors: business, leadership, sports, and media. Now over to Ben and Simon for this week's show.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Mindset Musings podcast, Simon.
Yes, the first ever one. How are you today, Ben?
I'm good, thank you. Good. Looking forward to getting the show launched. Hope people enjoy it on some levels.
Yeah, no, definitely. So the intention of this show is a much shorter one than we're normally going to produce. And just for the benefit of the listeners, we are sort of halfway through recording the first series, if you like. But we thought we'd introduce our first sort of intro show just to give you a bit about why we're doing it, what we're looking to get from it personally, but more really what's in it for you guys and what's in it for the listeners, because that's what we're here to do essentially, is to try and add value and to try and share the small wisdom that we've learned. So Ben, what just off the back of that, why are we doing this? From your angle.
So, from my point of view, I've always been interested in business and big sports fan as well. I know you are. I've always just loved listening to people's stories. I find people fascinating, and you if you sort of dig into people's history and listen to what they've done to sort of achieve stuff in their life or in their career, there's normally always some fascinating points in there. So I think from chatting to the guests that we've got for series one, we've definitely come across that so far.
Yeah.
And I just like to maybe just share some of my own mistakes and wisdom, and if anyone can take any value from that and use it in a positive way, then I suppose that's why I'm looking to do the podcast with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Almost exactly the same, really. But I suppose from a selfish point of view, initially I'm just looking for. Well, firstly, I was looking for a hobby that didn't involve sitting in a pub, and nothing. Not that there's anything wrong with pubs. We both own pubs. Keep sitting in pubs, please. But no, from my point of view, a lot of my, I don't play an instrument. I've never spoken the language. I don't really listen to sort of any new music anymore. So I listen to podcasts. I listen to self-development books. It sounds very boring on the surface, but I do find enjoyment from it. But I was looking for, like a hobby that was a bit more kind of wholesome in terms of trying to add value to others, basically. And yeah, I think, I mean, since setting up the business 10 years ago, there's been ad hoc study of mindset, personal growth, personal development, personal performance daily, that sort of area. But in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been, like a daily thing that I do. So yeah, hopefully people will find value in what we've learned. And also from the guests, we've had, to be fair, and this is on you, we've had some amazing guests, Ben, so far, and I know we've got more to come.
Yeah, we've met some great people so far, and can't wait for our listeners to be able to hear their stories. But yeah, likewise, I suppose with the pandemic hitting, which is when this podcast has been born out of, a lot of people maybe sat around questioning what they're up to in their life, questioning their career, their job, and maybe thinking about going off and starting that business that they were dreaming of doing one day. This has kind of maybe forced their mindset into a different channel. So I think we'd like to explore that in people, and also, just to basically touch on some, points about developing a positive mindset. And so for me, I got into reading a lot probably about 4 years ago. I read a lot of books now, listen to a lot of podcasts, and I've just found it's really, really helped me. And you never stop learning. And I think the biggest thing you can do for yourself is just to never stop learning, always continue to learn and educate yourself and grow. And hopefully if this podcast can bring a bit of that to people, then good stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we've said all along, haven't we? And we both cringe when we say the word, but I think we're looking to try and inspire something in other people, mainly through the stories of our guests, because they are the star of the show. But also, at the end of each episode, we do have a sort of 10-minute chat, don't we, about the guest and the great points that they've raised, and we slip a bit of our own failures and expertise, if you like, into those conversations. So when I say inspire others, I'm not saying look at what we've done, aren't we so great? It's almost the exact opposite of that. I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm pretty unremarkable in most ways. I've got, as I said, I've got no real sort of skills to call on. I wouldn't say anyone would look at me and go, "You're good at that." So inspiration in a way that if I can do it, and pretty much anyone can. I've got to be honest, and it, all it takes is quite often just hard work, finding happiness in daily progress rather than getting overawed with a big goal that's seems to be further and further away. If you progress daily, you'll find sort of happiness in that, and hard work. So yeah. When we say the word inspire throughout this series, that's what we mean. We're not meaning it in any sort of grandiose way, are we?
Yeah, I'm on a similar footing to you, really. It's up for other people to comment on what skills they think I've got that are good or otherwise. But yeah, I think it's just about, as I mentioned a second ago, it's just about committing yourself to just making those small improvements and having a positive mindset to make those changes and look for some growth in whatever you're hoping to achieve. Entrepreneurialism has been glamorized in recent years. I've found, especially with social media, we've had this conversation off air a lot. With the Instagram, the posers. So there's a point I know that you wanted to make in a second, so I won't go into it too much. But it's also just sort of trying to shine a light on a bit of reality as well for people. That not everything is as glamorous as portrayed on social media, and that just doesn't go for running a business. That goes for most walks of life, but that's a bigger conversation for another time. But I know you had a couple of points you wanted to make.
Yeah, I think this is one of the main reasons that personally I'm looking to do it, and I think you sort of tend to agree. I've recently sort of started a kind of new Instagram page, if you like, just to support this podcast. And I'll tell you what, some of the crap on there and some of the jokers, everyone's a guru, everyone's a mentor, everyone's a coach. And there are some excellent ones on there, but I'd like people to just consider, where they're getting their information from. And I think, if you could unfollow 2 people on your social media that pretty much haven't done anything, and claim to be a business coach when they've never actually owned a business or whatever, and maybe just listen to this podcast in its kind of place, your time investment will stay the same, and the quality of the information you'll get, not just from me and Ben, as I said, it's mainly the guests that are at the top of their field, sport, media, business, these guys. If you just replace that time invested, as I said, the quality of the information you'll get will be much better. There is a caveat to that. We do know, both Ben and I personally know, one lady, for example, who's just set up a sort of side business as a coach, in the sort of in the employment sector, but she's been doing it 20 years, so top respect for that.
There's a key point I just want to make there, Simon, just to add to what you've said, and just to make it clear that there are fantastic coaches and mentors that are out there operating on your Instagrams and stuff. There are. I think the point that we're both trying to make is just to wise people up. Just do your due diligence, do a bit of research, look into these people, and are they who they say they are, and are they doing what they say they are doing?
Exactly.
Because I don't want to discount social media as a platform for finding these people, because as I mentioned, there are some really good people doing some really good positive work. But just a warning, however you want to label it, just be a bit careful what path you're going down, and just do a bit of due diligence. Really, that's the point.
Totally. I think at that end of the scale, there are some excellent ones. Obviously, I mentioned the lady we know, and as I said, she's been doing it 2 decades, and in the 20th year, that's when she started to offer her services. That's who you're going to listen to, and I think if people, as you said, if people can just start to just filter or even just assess where they're getting their information from, I think they'll be much better off. So I think we've both said all along, if we can help in any way, if people want to reach out, they can get us through the Instagram page, which is at mindset.musings. Both of our personal Insta handles are in that bio. And I'll promise people 2 things with this podcast. One, if you've been working hard and it's clear that you're semi-serious about what you're doing, and just to kind of reiterate, this isn't just setting up a small business. This isn't just entrepreneurialism. This is leadership. This is kind of aiming for that promotion maybe that you thought might be out of reach. If you lead a small kids sports team, for example, you're going to find value in some of these messages. It's all pretty much applicable. But if you reach out and it's clear that you've been working hard and you are stuck, or you wonder whether you should start and you don't know where to start, or you've started and you've become a bit disillusioned with it, etc., I will help you out, and I'm sure Ben will do the same. The other thing I can promise you is the quality might not be great, but I certainly say to my guys, and it's a mantra that I sort of am looking to practice with this rather than just preach, that if you start, you will improve. And I think I'm hugely out of my comfort zone with this podcast. I'm hugely out of my comfort zone with interviewing people, but I know that if we reach 20 episodes, if we reach let's say one day 100 episodes, it's I'm going to have improved. So I think it's always about getting that sort of most uncomfortable period out of the way, and then you can look to develop from there.
Just to echo that, I have a huge fear of public speaking. I have done it, I do it, but it's a real issue, or has been a real issue for me. So again, for me, coming out of comfort zone, doing a podcast, I don't like the sound of my own voice, but I'm quickly having to get over that.
Fantastic voice.
I'm quickly having to get over that because we are podcasting now. Are we professionals? No. Do we have much experience doing this? Not at all.
Are we using 2 sets of headphones that cost 15 quid? Yes.
There is going to be the odd glitch. The audio might not be perfect, but like you say, everyone's got to start somewhere. And I'm sure with improvement over time from listening to ourselves and feedback from the listeners as well. Obviously, as Simon said, our social media profiles are open. Please get in touch. Let us know what you think. Anywhere we can improve, obviously we look to do that. So that's our kind of our caveat as well, I suppose, is we're not perfect. This isn't perfect, but we're just trying to start and bring a bit of value to everybody.
Yep, so totally. We have had, haven't we, 1 or 2 people in our circle maybe, or friends of friends or whatever, ask us either directly or sometimes more indirectly.
The dream killers.
Yes, very much. The dream killers, the motivation vampires, these types of people. So we have had a question or 2 from people, it was either a statement to say therefore they're not going to listen to it, or a genuine question as to why they should, but they've asked really why we're qualified to do this and why people should listen. So what would your answer to that be, Mr. Miles?
I wouldn't say I was qualified as such. I don't think anyone really is, particularly when they start out doing these kind of things. I've owned small businesses. I've had business partners, most of which have been fairly successful, which has been good, but some have fallen by the wayside and not worked out. So without wanting to be too cliche about it, I suppose, I'm just kind of the average average man off of the street who I'll just have a go.
Yeah,
I think that's just the main point we're trying to get across. Really, is if you don't have a go, then you'll never know.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this podcast. We're trying it out, and if people like it, great. And then we can go from there.
Yeah, no, totally, and I'd echo that. I mean, again, I'm not claiming to be anything special. In fact, if obviously going to the top of this show when we first started talking, very, very opposite in that respect. But again, I've got a couple of smaller businesses, so I can sort of help out in that respect. I debated whether to start ones for years, so I understand the struggle and the debate in your mind. And I've got one that's got very large, that's gone through some growing pains, and from 2 to 4 to 6 lads in what is a broom cupboard to what we've got today, and the corporate result of that. So I've got experience in that respect. We're both new fathers, aren't we? So that's leadership in a way as well.
I think as you made a good point. Not that you can kind of quantify it, but we've both been involved in businesses which have grown quite large, and we've both been involved in businesses which have been successful but are on a small level, and we've both had businesses or endeavors that have fallen by the wayside and not worked out, mistakes. Even not even businesses, just made mistakes in what we do. So we have a wide spectrum of experience from that point. But just to say what we said at the top of the show, if we can just pass on any wisdom that helps anyone in any way, then that's a success for me. We've done our job there.
Yeah, exactly. And this is obviously a national podcast. They all are, but we're both based in Portsmouth, which is a city on the south coast, which was recently named the entrepreneurial capital of the UK, based on the number of companies that were actually registered here in the last year, I believe. And it is a special place in that respect. There are some, everyone's an artist or an entrepreneur, or sort of everyone's looking to do something, aren't they? And it's a nice environment to be in. And locally or nationally, if we can help out, reach out to us. I'm very keen. I've been doing this 10 years now, and I've sort of, over Christmas, which was 3-4 months ago, I've told myself now I want to sort of help people this year and help people to develop.
Yeah, I think just quickly going back to the point you made in the middle, we were talking about, I think that's the same for me, really. The purpose of why we're doing this is I'm similar, really. I just feel like I've come to a point where I just want to sort of help people out. I'm not looking for anything in return, really.
That's it.
Just want to do that. And just while we're on the subject of bigging up Portsmouth, which we're naturally going to do, being from here, but all jokes aside, it is a lot better down here now, I think, and a much more vibrant and thriving place than it was when we were kids growing up. Industry seems to be a little stronger. The university down here is huge now.
Yep.
Which is good. And it just seems to be a lot more going on. And it's
a decent festival every summer.
Yeah, it's a great festival on the seafront. Yeah. Get your tickets now.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, it is. It's a good place, and industry and business seems to do quite well down here. So, looks good for the future, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. We just need the football club to catch up now.
Yeah, well, we can work on that. Can't have it all at once.
No, it's it. Cool.
Great stuff. Well, thanks for the opening intro show, Simon. Good to chat. And we look forward to bringing the guests to our listeners. That's it for another Mindset Musings podcast. Thank you for listening. We really do appreciate our listeners and the feedback that we receive.
We hope you have either been entertained or gained something of value from the show. If you have, can we please ask you to leave us a 5-star iTunes review or a review wherever you feel is relevant. Please feel free to follow us on Instagram at mindset.musings. Our personal Insta handles are included in the bio.
Drop us a DM. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.